Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3143 BN. Today's date is August 18th, 2023, and the title of the episode is It Must Be Done Right, and according to the rule of law, no mistakes, election interference. Let's talk about our health. 95% of Americans have tried losing weight in the last 5 years, according to researchers. The same researchers also said that nearly half of Americans who tried losing weight struggle so much that they actually gain 21 pounds or more. With temptations like candy and fast food all around us, it's no wonder why it's more difficult than ever to keep excess fat off. This is why I highly recommend the special keto diet ingredient. It delivers 100% pure CAMCT in every scoop to help promote the appetite and weight management benefits of a keto diet. This supercharged supplement helps by naturally elevating ketone levels inside the body to promote keto benefits like a fat-burning metabolism and reduce cravings without the typical struggle of a keto diet. Plus, it mixes smoothly and tastes great with your favorite drink of choice, making this easier than ever to add to your diet. The best part is if you order it today using my link, you'll get 51% off, plus receive several free gifts with your order, including free shipping, free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, a free new e-report titled The Top 14 Ketogenic Foods, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. What's more is that a portion of each order goes towards helping hungry children in need through a partnership with NoHungryKids.org. Order now by going to KetoWithX22.com. That is KetoWithX22.com, or click the link in the description. If you don't see the link, click the More button or the description button. That is KetoWithX22.com. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech fake news, the puppet masters, they realize that Trump, he has everything that they have done. Yes, he has caught them all. And he wants to show the people the truth. But it has to be done according to the rule of law. It must be done right. There can be no mistakes. And I do believe Trump has spent all of these years setting everything up when he first came into the White House in 2016. He was setting everything up to catch the deep state players in the act, and he needed the case to be solid, irrefutable, and it had to build upon each other. And what Trump has done right now, he has built a case of election interference, and he set all of this up going all the way back to when he first entered the White House. And we're going to be going through all the documentation on how he was able to capture election interference in 2018, in 2020, in 2022. This was done on purpose because he knew in the end he needed to show the people for a very long time these individuals were stealing your voice. These individuals were installing criminals into government, and they were telling you and lying to you, convincing you that the elections were perfect. And I do believe Trump has caught them all in the act. Now, Trump, he let us know that he was going to reveal this report during a press conference that he was going to hold. So what did this do? Well, he announced it. The deep state started to prepare, and they were going to use ammunition against what he was going to reveal. And the people of this country, they're like, well, what is it? You have this report. It's irrefutable. People are thinking about it. He introduced this. People are thinking logically. Think about how you need to drip this information out. Then he put out a truth that, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to submit this through the courts so it could be entered into the court system. Now, remember, he's going to prove that there was election interference. I do believe Trump and many others have caught the deep state in the act, and it has to be done right. It has to be done according to the rule of law, and there can be no mistakes. Remember, this is the largest sting operation the world has ever seen. And I do believe in the end, what he needs everyone to see is look how they overthrew the United States government. Look how they took the elected president out. Look how they destroyed the country. And look how they've been lying to you through propaganda. The people are learning about all of this because they're learning that those people that cheated in the election, they're criminals. Just look at the Bidens. Soon you're going to see this with Obama. That is on deck right now. And I do believe Trump set this up perfectly because now everyone is saying, okay, what is this report? He didn't say, I'm not revealing it. He said, I'm going to reveal it in the court system. I'm going to enter it in legally into the court system. So it's not like he pulled it away and said, you're not going to be able to see this. He set it all up. So now people are thinking, holy crap, is there a report? Does he have something? What is it going to say? Are the elections really that rigged? Yes. Yes, they are. And we're going to go down the path on how he caught the deep state in all of it. But first, let's go out to Hawaii, because what are we seeing? We're seeing the individual who was the head of the emergency operations, the chief. He decided to resign because of all the backlash. Now, think about it. They kept saying that he had no experience in this. His qualifications weren't there. And if he did a great job, why would he resign? It makes no sense. Actually, instead of resigning, shouldn't he be brought up on charges? Shouldn't he be brought up on charges because he was negligent in his duties and he didn't follow protocol? Absolutely. And I think the people of this country are now seeing this. The people are starting to realize, look at all these individuals. Look who they put into place. These people cannot do their job. You need the best qualified people. Not, oh, let me just bring a woman in. Oh, let me just bring a man in that's dressed up like a woman. Oh, let me just bring a man in who is a total screw up, who doesn't know anything, and he just fits the mold of what we need in there because he'll take instructions. No, we need the best qualified individual. When you go to a job, the only thing that people should be looking at is this person qualified to do the job. Can they do it? You shouldn't be looking at gender. You shouldn't be looking at anything else. I mean, unless it's a very specific gender position, then yes, you have to look at gender. But if it's just a position, you should be looking for the highest qualified person to fill that position. But what does the deep state do? They don't do this. They go ahead and they say, okay, this person fits our quota, so let's bring this person. I know it's not qualified, but they fit the quota. This is going to be great. That's why when you look around, you look at the attorney generals and the prosecutors, did they bring in the best of the best, or are these Soros prosecutors, are they the worst of the worst that really don't know what they're doing and they just follow instructions? I think that's very, very clear right now, because when you look at Georgia, when you look at New York, when you look at Michigan, when you look at all these different states, what do you see? You see those people. These aren't the best of the best. These are the people that just follow what the deep state wants them to do. Just look at government. That tells you everything you need to know. And that tells you that this is not what the people wanted. The people didn't want these type of people in there. And the people now are seeing all of this. They're starting to understand. And they're also starting to see that the Biden administration, the Bidens and others, they've been covering up all their crimes. For example, Jason Leopold was trying to get information about the cocaine in the White House. He filed a Freedom of Information Act request, and it was denied by the District of Columbia. It rejected the request, and they don't want to hand over the information. Why not? Because they told us they can't figure out who did this. There was no video. It was in a place where you couldn't really video. They have no clues. So why can't he get this information? Something doesn't make sense. But this is what he requested. A copy of the request and or radio call for a hazmat team by U.S. Secret Service to respond to a white powdery substance found at the White House. A copy of the final report of the hazmat team testing of the white powder that was determined to be cocaine found at the West Wing of the White House. Photographs of the substance, should any exist. Emails referencing the cocaine white powdery substance found at the White House. Final incident reports after action reports referring the white powdery substance determined to be cocaine that was found at the White House. And they don't want to hand this information over. The question is why? Because they're covering it all up. That is what they're doing. And what's very interesting is that the top White House lawyer, Stuart Dellery, he decided to step down as Biden's investigation intensifies. So the White House lawyer is stepping down in the midst of federal criminal investigations into the resident's family. And this person, you really didn't see him that much. He's really behind the scenes, but it seems that he's had enough and he is now leaving, which is very interesting because we can see everything is building up around the Bidens. And we've seen many individuals leave his administration, Susan Rice and many others. And now this is the latest person to leave, which means they're getting prepared and ready to have a change of batter. And what's very interesting is that you could see why they brought in the special counsel, because they're covering everything up. They don't want this information getting out, because remember, if more and more information gets out, and the public says, we must do something, why aren't you doing something? Well, that is going to lead to another person, which is going to lead to another person, because once you start to bring this information out, you can't stop the avalanche. And what they've done right now is they decided to dismiss the plea deal charges against Hunter Biden. Now, can they bring other charges against him? Of course they can. Do you think they're really going to bring other charges against him? Because if they were really going to bring charges against him, they would have done this already. You didn't need a special counsel. This individual has been investigating Hunter Biden for a very long time. They made him a special counsel just to cover up all their crimes. And once again, we can see the corruption is plain as day. And you can see why they brought the special counsel in. Because the statute of limitations, and this is coming from Paul Sperry, the statute of limitations for the Hunter Biden gun felony runs out on October 12th. So are they just running down the clock and they're preparing to then have a change of batter? And this way, any other information will not be brought out into the open? Of course. But remember, the House, they're going to continually to investigate the Bidens. They're not going to stop. And what is the public going to see? They're going to see more and more information. And as they bring out more and more documented information from all the different agencies, from banks, from the IRS, from NARA, people are going to say, okay, I'm seeing a lot of information, a lot of documents. We're seeing that, yes, the IRS, their investigation, well, that correlates to the whistleblower investigation. And it seems that the documents are real. And as this information continually pours out, what happens? The people are going to say, how come we're not seeing justice? How come the FBI Department of Justice is doing absolutely nothing? How come the special counsel is saying, we need to further investigate all of this, when he has all this information right now? Well, that tells you everything you need to know. And now, since we know that Biden has been using a pseudonym, what's happening right now? People are asking a lot more questions. Chuck Callesto put this out on X and said, Joe Biden hid his identity and used the pseudonym Robert L. Peters when emailing Hunter's business associates. Joe purportedly used this name to schedule secret calls with the president of Ukraine. What other people did he contact using this name? And is this the only name? I do believe he probably has multiple accounts, and now people are starting to catch on. So let's put all this together right now, because now we have the laptop is real. The emails and all the pictures and everything on there is completely real. Biden set up 20 shell companies. He didn't have any type of business. He doesn't produce anything. He does absolutely nothing. But why did he need all these shell companies? And why was the money being transferred to his family? Then he needed a different name to talk to all different people and email them back and forth and call them. The question is why? Was he hiding something? Of course he was. And I do believe we're going to see a lot more information come out. Storm has arrived on X, put this out and said, John Solomon is getting ready to release brand new documents to the public next week that will show Joe Biden changed U.S. policy when he infamously fired the Ukrainian prosecutor. The documents were apparently kept hidden during President Trump's impeachment. How many times will Trump be exonerated? Oh, many, many times. Because we could see the deep state players. They are completely corrupt. It's a criminal organization. And we could see the Department of Justice, the FBI, they're never going to investigate their own. They're never going to bring charges against their own. The system is corrupt. And the only way to bring justice is we need an outside organization to bring justice. And I do believe this is exactly what Trump has been showing everyone. When you cheat in an election and you overthrow the United States government and you put it in a puppet government, what happens? Well, when they introduce their policies that don't go along with what the people want, they destroy the country. The criminals, they make a lot of money, and they try to push their own agenda. This is what Trump is showing everyone. When someone cheats in an election and they put themselves in a position like Katie Hobbs, like Joe Biden, and many other people, what happens to the city? What happens to the towns? What happens to the state? What happens to the country? It falls apart because they're not working for the people. They're working against the people. They're working to enrich themselves. They are criminals. This is what happens during this process. And he wants everyone to know they cheated in the election and they are criminals. And they try to cover up their crimes. And we could see that it's not just Joe Biden, but it's Obama who's in the basement talking to Biden. And we see that Obama, and it looks like it's his playbook right now, he's made a deal with Iran where they're going to be sending over $6 billion to have a hostage trade. Trump, he never sent money over to release hostages. He did it through strength. That's how he was able to release hostages. But Trump, he put out a message about this deal. Take a listen.
Joe Biden just agreed to pay a $6 billion ransom to the Iranian dictatorship in exchange for hostages. This is yet another Biden surrender and a further blistering humiliation of the United States of America to the world stage. But even worse, this decision will be extremely deadly. Biden is giving $6 billion to the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. Just as when Obama sent the Iranian regime pallets of cash for hostages in the dark of night, remember, plane loads of cash, Biden's ransom payment will be immediately used to stoke violence, bloodshed, and mayhem throughout the Middle East and all around the world, costing countless innocent lives. It's also guaranteed that the fanatical Iranian regime will use this money to advance their nuclear weapons program, putting Israel, the United States, and the entire world in very grave peril. They are reportedly just weeks away from a nuclear bomb, something which would have never happened under the Trump administration. Tragically, Biden's ransom payments also make it dramatically more likely that even more Americans will be held captive in the future, because Biden has shown that he will pay gargantuan sums of money, meaning the kidnappers turn a massive profit. They're making money hand over fist. In other words, Biden has put a bounty on the head of every American citizen abroad. Under my leadership, we brought home more than 50 hostages from all over the world, and we never paid ransom money to do it, not at all. We did it with diplomacy, and we did it through strength, and we will do it again when we are reelected as President of the United States. Our country is failing. We are a failing nation. We will turn it around and we will make America great again. Thank you.
Now, it's very interesting how Trump is letting us know that this is going to lead to Iran getting a missile, a nuclear weapon, leading to World War III. It's going to be very, very bad. And what's very interesting is that we know that Obama sent over pallets of cash over to Iran. And there was a video that was out there, and it had the Red Cross symbol on it there was cash inside the boxes from 2011. And what's very interesting about all of that, I don't know if that's real or not real, or the symbols are real, but the Red Cross decided to respond to this, and that is what I find very, very interesting. And this is what they said. The Red Cross has nothing whatsoever to do with the transactions alleged in its circulating video of containers of money with the ICRC logo. We strongly condemn the use of a fake ICRC logo. Our emblems stand for neutral and impartial aid. Any misuse may have serious impact on our ability to reach those in need. So they're already saying this has nothing to do with us, and we are not involved in this. But what's very interesting about this is that now the Red Cross is coming into focus, and the deal with Iran is coming into focus. And that reminds me of a couple of posts. Post 1454, June 11, 2018. It says, EU sanctions Iran. Leaders of EU only care about protecting flow of money, not the safety and security of their people world. Iran deal orchestrated for the sole purpose of lifting sanctions blockade to allow access of foreign businesses for individuals and co-wide enrichment scam. Nothing to do with nukes. Cover story. Hussein pallets of cash. Hussein secret authority to convert U.S. dollar. More coming. No mainstream media coverage. Got popcorn. So Barack Obama is now being introduced into the mix. Then we go to post 489. This is January 7, 2018. It says, U.S. taxpayers are paying for it all. Paris Accord equals scam trillions. Red Cross equals scam billions. Foreign aid equals scam trillions. War equals scam trillions. On and on and on. Who audits where the money actually goes? Who actually receives the money? The U.S. taxpayer is funding the very people we are engaged in taking down. Slush funds everywhere. Think George Soros pays for Antifa out of his own pocket? The hole is deep. Feel sick yet? Post 1249, April 23rd, 2018. Red Cross Iran, Red Cross Pakistan, Red Cross North Korea, Red Cross ... Define smuggle. What is smuggled? What funds are used to pay for the goods? These people are sick, relevant to events about to unfold. Follow the executive orders. So we already heard about child trafficking. We already heard about human trafficking from The Sounds of Freedom. And there's going to be a sequel, which is going to be based out of Haiti. So are all these different players now coming into focus? Obama, Hillary Clinton, the Red Cross. It's all starting to heat up right now. Actually, August is a very, very hot month right now. And it's going to get worse and worse for all these individuals, which means the deep state players, they're going to try to push war. Remember, when you're losing the narrative, when you're losing the war out in Ukraine, when the evidence is pouring out showing that you're a criminal and you're part of a criminal syndicate, when the evidence is pouring out showing that the FBI, DOJ, DHS, CDC, FDA, and all the rest, they are all part of the criminal syndicate, you need to do something to cover up all of this information. Remember, we're in an information war. And yes, the good guys put out misinformation and disinformation. Why? To trick the others into doing something to actually expose their criminality. And I do believe this is what Trump uses it for. But you can see out in Ukraine, right now, the Biden administration has given Denmark and the Netherlands approval to send F-16s to Ukraine. So do you think that's going to solve the problem? Or is this going to bring us into World War III? I do believe what we're witnessing right now is they are now preparing and they're building the narrative to bring us into World War III. Now, remember, Trump and the Patriots, they know that they're going to do this. Actually, I do believe they want them to go down this path. Trump needs to use war to activate the military because most of the country doesn't understand that the military is not activated right now. They don't know that the insurrection actually was the exception to the Posse Comitatus Act, and the military is now active on U.S. soil. I do believe there are missions going on behind the scenes. So how do you introduce the military? You need to have an attack in the United States. And I do believe that's exactly where we're headed. And remember, Trump, before this period of time, he needs to show the people that he caught them all. He continually says this from the very, very beginning. He told everyone, I caught them all. I was the only one that could do this. Why was he the only one that could do this? Well, first of all, he was the president and he was the commander-in-chief. He was on the outside and he put everything into place to catch them in the act. Yes, he caught them spying. Yes, he caught them how they were able to get the FISAs. Yes, he caught them in election interference, which is the overthrow of the United States government, a crime of all crimes. So Trump, he set everything up and he's going to reveal this information, but he's not just going to dump it on everyone because what do you think the fake news is going to do? They're going to spin it. They're going to try to cover it up. But when it's entered into the court of law and there's documents that back it, this is going to be a lot more difficult to cover or spin. And I do believe this is what Trump is doing. He's leading them down this path. And right now, it looks like he's not going to be doing the debates. I don't think he has to. I think he has the people on his side. And remember, everything that you're seeing, it's about the people seeing the true criminal syndicate. He needs to show them the truth. These people who are in the White House right now, they got there by cheating in the election. All the misery you're feeling, the economy breaking down, the open borders, it's because they cheated in the election. They installed themselves. And we'll get to that in just a sec, but let me just read his truth right now about the debates. He says, many people are asking whether or not I will be going to the debates. All Americans have been clamoring for a president of extremely high intelligence As everyone is aware, my poll numbers over a wonderful field of Republican candidates are extraordinary. In fact, I'm leading the runner-up, whoever that may be now, by more than 50 points. Reagan didn't do it, and neither did others. People know my record, one of the best ever. So why would I debate? I'm your man. Make America great again. And he put I'm your man in all caps. And he's absolutely the man. Remember, this has been planned from the very, very beginning. And he's going to show the establishment who's really in charge. Actually, he's going to show the America who's really in charge, who has the people now. Why? Because he's not going to the debates. The establishment is still going to have the debates. The rhinos are going to have the debates. What is he going to do? He's going to be interviewed by Tucker at the same exact time. So people will be focused on him, not the debate. He's about to show the establishment who has the power, who has the people. It's game over for them. And the people of this country are going to realize, wow, nobody watched the debates. Everyone watched Trump on Tucker. Let's talk about our health. 95% of Americans have tried losing weight in the last 5 years, according to researchers. The same researchers also said that nearly half of Americans who tried losing weight struggle so much that they actually gain 21 pounds or more. With temptations like candy and fast food all around us, it's no wonder why it's more difficult than ever to keep excess fat off. This is why I highly recommend the special keto diet ingredient. It delivers 100% pure CAMCT in every scoop to help promote the appetite and weight management benefits of a keto diet. This supercharged supplement helps by naturally elevating ketone levels inside the body to promote keto benefits like a fat-burning metabolism and reduce cravings without the typical struggle of a keto diet. Plus, it mixes smoothly and tastes great with your favorite drink of choice, making this easier than ever to add to your diet. The best part is if you order it today using my link, you'll get 51% off, plus receive several free gifts with your order, including free shipping, free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, a free new e-report titled The Top 14 Ketogenic Foods, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. What's more is that a portion of each order goes towards helping hungry children in need through a partnership with NoHungryKids.org. Order now by going to KetoWithX22.com. That is KetoWithX22.com, or click the link in the description. If you don't see the link, click the More button or the description button. That is KetoWithX22.com. It's going to be glorious in the end. The rhinos, the establishment, they are no longer in control, and he's going to show everyone that they are not. Now, very interestingly, The Hill, they came out with an article, and I find the title very, very interesting. It says, as the Trump trials plunge into political theater, which it is, the world is watching. Now, really think about that for a second. The world is watching political theater. That reminds me of a couple of posts. Post 3907. This is March 28th, 2020. I'm going to read the whole thing here. The entire world is watching. Patriots from around the world are praying for America. We are all bound by a feeling deep inside, a feeling that cannot be publicly expressed for fear of ridicule, a feeling that challenges the mainstream narrative against that which we are told to accept and dare not question, but put simply, that people are being abused by those in power and time is running out. Remember the battles of Lexington and Concord? Give me liberty or give me death? Far too long, we have been silent and allowed our bands of strength that we once formed to defend freedom and liberty to deteriorate. We became divided. We became weak. We elected traitors to govern us. We allowed evil to prey on us. Those who claimed to represent us gave us false hope, made false promises. The evil and corruption only grew. This is more than party politics. This is about restoring all glory. This is about saving our land and our people from those who wish us harm. This is about preserving our republic. This is about preserving our safety. This is about restoring our strength. This is about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is about protecting our children. This is about saving America. We are all God's children. We are fathers, mothers, daughters, sons, brothers, sisters. We do not look at race. We do not look at skin color. We are united in these states of America. We are and will always be patriots. We must rise again. We must unite again. We must fight again for God and country. God bless America. Where we go on, we go all. Then I want to go to post 4460. This is June 13, 2020. Down below, it says, the world is watching. Have faith in humanity. And the world is watching. They're watching a banana republic. They're watching it all play out. And what do you think the people around the world are saying? Wow, look at this. This is happening in America. The country is a failing country because of these individuals that put themselves into place, because the cheating that happened during the elections. And the people are watching the deep state players go after a duly elected president. And the world is just watching this all play out. And in the end, the world is going to see the truth. And once they see the truth, they can't unsee the truth. And it's game over for the deep state players. And Trump, he needs to show everyone what the election interference looks like. He just can't say, hey, look, they indicted me, there's election interference. He needs to show that they're going to force the trial during the election year. They already indicted him 4 times. They're already interfering in the election. So Trump's legal team, they're proposing a trial date for April 2026 after the elections. What do you think the deep state's going to do? Well, we already know what they're going to do. They're pushing for the trial on when? March 4th, right smack during the presidential election cycle where he's supposed to be campaigning. So if they're doing this and he's spending the time in the courtroom, he can't do rallies. He can't speak to people. His money is going towards trials. He's showing you election interference. If they keep him so busy in the trial, everyone else can campaign, but he cannot. That's why he keeps saying, why didn't they bring this 2.5 years ago? Why did they wait for this moment in time? Because they wanted to interfere with the election. He wanted everyone to see this, and everyone is seeing this. Now, what's very interesting about all of this is that there are certain players out there that are letting the fake news know what should be done with Trump, which are they trying to steer the fake news and the deep state players into doing this? It's starting to seem that way because Bill Barr opened up the idea of home detention for Trump. Now, what's very interesting, I discussed this with Kash Patel. I did an interview with him a couple days ago about what happens if Trump goes to prison. And there's many different types of prison. If I was Trump and I wanted to show election interference and I wanted to show, look how they're interfering in all of this, look what they'll do to stop someone from running in a presidential election. And if I wanted to get the people to my side, because I do believe this is his campaign right now, I would either have them arrest me or put me in home detention. Because once that happens, the people see very, very clearly, wow, they just interfered in the presidential election. They could have done this way, way before he decided to announce that he was running. They waited to this moment to do all of this. And I think the people, once, if this happens, I'm not saying it is going to happen, it might, the people will flock to him because I do believe this is his campaign that he is running right now. But Trump, he responded to this and he said the following: why does Fox News constantly put on slow thinking and lethargic Bill Barr, who didn't have the courage or stamina to fight the radical left lunatics while he was AG? And who, even more importantly, refused to fight election fraud. He knew what was going on. Just look at his past remarks. Unless Fox News starts putting the right people on, their ratings will never recover. Then he put this truth out, and he said the following: just found this clip of Bill Barr prior to him succumbing to impeachment and other threats of the radical left lunatics. His bravado changed rapidly because he didn't want to be impeached. Republicans have to be much tougher and smarter, or you won't have a party or a country left. Barr didn't have the courage or stamina to fight, but he knew what was happening. I canned him and felt really good about it. Now he goes all over the place, especially Fox, pretending he's a tough guy. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Let's see how this all plays out. But once again, you can see Trump is showing the people, look how they're interfering in the election. He has to amplify it so people really understand it. Because really think about why he's doing it. Because in the end, he's going to show, look, they interfered with the election. They went ahead and they indicted me 4 times. They're trying to put me into prison or home detention. And they did all this to stop me from running. When he introduces the rigged election in 2020, all of this then will come together because he will show These people, Biden, Obama, Hillary Clinton, who's orchestrating all of this with Jack Smith and all these other individuals, they all cheated. And remember, it was a coordinated effort. So you have Raffensperger and the rest. They cheated in the election, and they came after me because they didn't want me to win the election, because they cheated in the election, and they didn't want me to expose it all when I got back into the White House. So this is what he's building up to, and he needs to show the people, look, the people cheated. They're stopping me from running. They're interfering in the election because I want to produce how they cheated in the election. And once he does produce it, it is game over for them, which means they're going to have chaos. And it looks like they're trying to build chaos right now. Paul Sperry put this out and said, Reuters reporting that Advanced Democracy, a nonprofit research organization, is tracking alleged threats to Fulton County grand jurors, but fails to note Advanced Democracy is run by Soros-financed Democrat activists who spread the Trump Alpha Bank hoax on Capitol Hill. Then he said CNN misled viewers by describing source Dan Jones simply as the president of Advanced Democracy, a nonprofit organization that monitors extremism online, without noting he was backed by Jake Sullivan, an investigator for a role in Trump Alpha Bank hoax. Absolutely. So it looks like they're trying to build up the idea that the jurors, they're going to be threatened by who? Trump supporters? Yes, that's exactly what they're going to try to do. Insurrection Barbie put this out and said, how do you know the election was stolen? Easy. All of a sudden, Wisconsin and Arizona want to join Georgia to indict anyone who ever questioned the 2020 election. If you won with the most votes in presidential history, you don't indict anyone who tries to question that victory. Instead, you take the proof that you won and rub it into the faces of every single person who doubts you. If the election was legit, these people would all have been transparent. Absolutely correct. If you won it fair and square, you say, go ahead, count the ballots. Go ahead, look at the machines. Go ahead, we're completely transparent. If you cheat in an election, you hide everything and you destroy everything. Isn't that what they did? Absolutely. And you keep pushing the idea that it's a big lie that anyone cheated in the election. Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said, rather than releasing the report on the rigged and stolen Georgia 2020 presidential election on Monday, my lawyers would prefer putting this, I believe, irrefutable and overwhelming evidence of election fraud and irregularities in a formal legal filing as we fight to dismiss this disgraceful indictment by publicly and campaign financing seeking DA who sadly presides over a record-breaking murder and violent crime area, Atlanta. Therefore, the news conference is no longer necessary. Now, with this post, he did something very interesting. He posted this at 8:01 on August 17th. 17 is the letter Q, and he purposely did it on 8:01. We'll be getting to that in just a sec. Karma Patriot put this out and responded to what Trump said and said, a very loud and clear, we have it all. Now, the question is, and I think a lot of people have been asking, do we have it all? Do we have it all? Yes, I do believe we do. Now, think about what Trump just did. Remember, this is an information war. The decision was left to him on what direction we go. So I want to go back to a couple of posts, and then we'll go to post 8:01 because of the timestamp. 2005, which is the post, August 30th, 2018. Has POTUS made a statement since being elected that didn't end up being proven factually true? Everything stated by POTUS will be made public. So everything is going to be made public by Trump. Post 1581, June 20th. We serve at the pleasure of the president. We left the decision on timing to him. So that's very interesting. So the decision and the timing is left to the president. Who is saying we serve at the pleasure of the president? I do believe that's the military. Post 2115. Specific timing rests with POTUS. Hints expend ammunition. So he hinted that I have this document. It's irrefutable. I want to release it. Did he do that on purpose? I do believe so. Because if we go to post 3724, this is December 18, 2019, it says, it must be done right. It must be done according to the rule of law. It must carry weight. It must be proven in the court of law. There can be no mistakes. Now, follow this post. This is very, very interesting. It says, good things sometimes take time. Attempts to slow block the inevitable justice will fail. Dee's election interference in 2016. Clinton Hussein illegal FISA. Did Trump catch them on the FISA, on the spying? Yes. Actually, it's been proven via Durham, via Mueller, and we can see that that has been proven that they interfered in the 2016 election. Dee's election interference in 2018, Mueller. Dee's election interference in 2020, impeachment, projection. These people are sick. We, the people, are the cure. So we had the 2016 election, the 2018 election, the 2020 election, the 2022 election, and all these elections were allowed to happen without Trump, without the military interfering in the election. The question is why? Now, Trump, he put out this truth, and he specifically picked 8:01 to put this out. Not 8 o'clock, not 8:30, but 8:01. And that points to a very specific post, and that is February 21st, 2018. It says, AG Sessions, U.S. Cyber Task Force, important. Now, if you go to justice.gov, Attorney General Sessions announces new cybersecurity task force, Tuesday, February 20th, 2018. So this was before the midterms in 2018. Let me just read a portion of this. It says, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has ordered the creation of the Justice Department's Cyber Digital Task Force, which will canvass the many ways the department is combating the global cyber threat and will also identify how federal law enforcement can more effectively accomplish its mission in the vital and evolving area. The internet has given us amazing new tools that help us work, communicate, and participate in our economy. But these tools can also be exploited by criminals, terrorists, and enemy governments. Attorney General Sessions said, at the Department of Justice, we take these threats seriously. That is why today I am ordering the creation of Cyber Digital Task Force to advise me on the most effective ways that this department can confront these threats and keep the American people safe. The Attorney General has asked the task force to prioritize its study of efforts to interfere with our elections. So do you think they went ahead and they did research and they figured out how they were cheating in the 2018 elections? Did they monitor the 2018 election? I do believe so. What else was created in 2018? Executive Order 13848. So right there, that gives you a nice picture of the beginning of them monitoring the elections. We'll be getting into Executive Order 13848 in just a sec, because remember, that was created in September 2018, right before the elections. So we had AG Sessions monitoring, and we had the executive order. So let's move to the U.S. Space Force. What is the U.S. Space Force, and what does it do? Well, the United States Space Force was established as the sixth and newest branch of the U.S. Armed Forces on December 20th, 2019, when the National Defense Authorization Act was signed into law. Before that, the United States hadn't created a new military branch since 1946. And I do believe that was the Air Force. As the United States critical infrastructure became increasingly dependent on satellites for communication, navigation, meteorology, and intelligence, the U.S. Department of Defense likewise identified a need for a branch of the military dedicated solely to operating and protecting these assets. So the Space Force was created in 2019 after the 2018 election. So the Space Force was put into position for the 2020 election. The Space Force was known, or is known, as the Guardians. That's very interesting. So we had Executive Order 13848, created in September 2018, and we had AG Sessions. He created this cyber task force to monitor the elections. Executive Order also monitored the elections for 2018. The Space Force was created after that to then monitor the 2020 election. So they're known as the Guardians. So let me go back to 2624 down below. It says Guardians of Intelligence. So now we have the Space Force that didn't come under the Posse Comitatus Act until 2021. So they were allowed to operate on U.S. soil, and they monitored the 2020 election. So let me go to post 4253. This is May 15, 2020, before the 2020 election. There's a link to Twitter, which is now called X, to ODNI Gov. And this post is the Office of the DNI. Acting DNI Grinnell announces changes to election security briefing. So let's go to that link. Director of National Intelligence announces changes to election security briefing May 15, 2020. Let me read a portion of this. Today, the ODNI announced that the U.S. intelligence community will lead all intelligence-based threat briefings to candidates, campaigns, and political organizations under the U.S. government's notification framework. Bill Ivanina, the director of the National Counterintelligence and Security Center, will serve as the IC's leader to this critical effort. U.S. elections are the foundation of our nation's democracy. We are committed to supporting this administration's whole of government effort to secure the 2020 elections. This change represents an important improvement and simplification to the threat notification process. The IC will continue to work in partnership with the FBI DHS to identify and integrate threat information, and Ivanina and the elections team will act swiftly to deliver the timely and thoroughly assessment to those affected by potential malicious influence. So right now, we have this that Grinnell set up. We have the Executive Order 13848. We have what AG Sessions set up, and we have the Space Force, all talking about the elections. They didn't say they were going to stop what was happening. They are going to monitor and report on what's happening. Because when you go to Executive Order 13848, what does it say? It says, Section 1A, not later than 45 days after the conclusion of the United States election, the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the heads of any appropriate executive departments and agencies, shall conduct an assessment of any information indicating that a foreign government or any person acting as an agent of or on behalf of a foreign government has acted with intent or purpose of interfering in that election. The assessment shall identify to the maximum extent ascertainable the nature of any foreign interference and any methods employed to execute it if the persons involved in the foreign government or governments that authorized, directed, sponsored, or supported it. The Director of National Intelligence shall deliver this assessment and appropriate supporting information to the President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of Defense, Chris Miller, the Attorney General, and the Secretary of Homeland Security. Within 45 days of receiving the assessment information described in Section 1A of this order, the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security, in consultation with the heads of any other appropriate agencies, as appropriate, state and local officials, shall deliver to the President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of the Treasury, and the Secretary of Defense a report evaluating with respect to the United States election that is the subject of assessment described in Section 1A. So that information was then delivered to all of these different agencies and the president. They didn't say they were going to stop what was happening. They said they were going to watch it, monitor it, and then report on it. That is what Trump wanted to be done. And he did it starting all the way back in 2018. So each election was built upon each other. Now, people say, well, what about the 2022 election? Who was monitoring that? Well, once again, if the military went ahead and they caught them cheating in the election, because this was during the 2020 election, they had the insurrection, the military was activated, and they took control over the country. So if they took control of the country and they caught the cheaters, is Biden the president? No, he's the resident. Who's the real president? Who's actually the commander-in-chief? Because we were attacked. The government was overthrown. So did Trump stop monitoring the elections? Did the military stop monitoring the elections? No, Trump is now the commander-in-chief. He's in control of the country. And that executive order 13848 that was supposed to expire, it was renewed every September 2021, 2022. And if you go to the government website, notice on the continuation of the national emergency with respect to foreign interference in or undermining public confidence in the United States election. Let me read it. This is September 7th, 2022. On September 12, 2018, by Executive Order 13848, the President declared a national emergency pursuant to the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, 50 U.S.C. 1701, to deal with the unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States constituted by the threat of foreign interference in or undermining public confidence in the United States elections. So let me read a little bit further down. It says the ability of a person located in whole or in substantial part outside the United States to interfere or undermine the public confidence in the United States election, including through the unauthorized accessing of election and campaign infrastructure or the covert distribution of propaganda and disinformation, continues to pose an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States. For this reason, the national emergency declared on September 12th, 2018. That's when Trump first went ahead and created this executive order and signed the executive order. Let me continue what this says. Must continue in effect beyond September 12th, 2022. Therefore, in accordance with Section 202D of the National Emergency Act, I am continuing for 1 year the national emergency declared in Executive Order 13848. Why would the resident extend this? Why wouldn't he cancel it? It makes no sense, because through this executive order, the military and all the different agencies, they were allowed to monitor the 2022 election. Did they cheat in the 2022 election? Of course they did. So Trump, from the very, very beginning, he set everything in motion to monitor and collect all of this information via all the different agencies and the military. I wonder what Trump is waving around when he says, I have a report that is irrefutable, a report that will show there's election rigging in this country. They overthrew the United States government. They overthrew the duly elected president. I have that report. What do you think it is? Do you think it's all of this? Of course it is. This is the largest sting operation. So when do you play this card? Do you do it now? Do you wait for the trial? Do you do it right before the election when people have to vote? Think about when they decided to tell everyone that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Was it right before people were going to vote? Absolutely. Trump, he's building this up. He's showing the people. Now the people are thinking, wait a minute, he has a document? All right, he's going to actually take that document and he's going to file it in the court system, and they're trying to stop him? This is very interesting. See, now everyone's starting to think. Some people might think, oh, he has nothing. It doesn't really matter because he already planted the seed. People are already thinking. And Trump, he's caught them in the act. All he has to do is produce it, but he needs the people to understand what election interference looks like, what a rigged election looks like. And you could see he's building upon this over and over and over. And what's very interesting is that U.S. Space Force, they created the first unit dedicated to targeting adversary satellites. Think about that for a second. Their surveillance and reconnaissance squadron was activated on August 11th at Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado. The unit is part of Space Delta 7, an element of the U.S. Space Force tasked with providing intelligence on adversary space capabilities. What are they watching for? Foreign governments to try to manipulate the elections, to try to have maybe a cyber attack or anything like that. Trump, he knows exactly what's happening. When we say patriots are in control, patriots are in control. It's not just a phrase. Think about what Trump has done here. He set it up from the very beginning. He has that document now because remember in Executive Order 13848, every time there's an election, a report is generated. It is delivered to the president or the commander-in-chief. He has the information. He knows what they have done. He's bringing the people up to speed, and he wants the people to understand. And every time he mentions something like this, the deep state players feel pain. And I do believe in the end, as people see all this, Trump is going to make sure in the end that there is going to be no foreign interference. There's going to be no deep state interference in the 2024 election. The people will have their vote. The people will have their voice heard. And the deep state at that point, just like he's doing with the debates right now and going on Tucker, he's going to show the world. He's going to show everyone that the people want him. The people want the country back. And he's going to win with a landslide. Something that we've never seen before, except maybe Andrew Jackson. And the people of this country, the people of the world, are going to be shocked. Remember, the world is watching. And the world is going to see the people of this country take back their country from the deep state players, which is going to set the world on fire, because the rest of the country, the people of these countries, are going to say, if they could do it, we can do it. What do you think happened when we had a revolution? Why do you think the world changed? The patriots are in control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.